In business tonight, more positive news for Barbados with respect to tourism. The Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Richard Seeley, is expecting the upcoming winter tourist season to be a good one for the island. This, he says, is based on reports received out of the world travel market and from key tour operators.
I've been extremely encouraged by what was projected to be the bookings, particularly out of the United Kingdom. As you know, we just inaugurated another scheduled carrier, Thomas Cook, coming twice a week. But beyond that, we'll have Thompson, which is not only going to be doing the work with the cruise ships, but will also be bringing in persons who will be part of the cruise and stay program. So all in all, we're very satisfied with where we are.
Mr. Seeley says bookings for the month of November have been extremely strong. Well, sales of new cars have reportedly taken a major hit following the introduction of the 15% excise tax on September the 1st. Local dealership NASCO is reporting that sales have dropped by more than half for some models. Shane Seeley has the story as he test drives the 2014 Yaris.
The new car market has faced some big challenges in recent times, most particularly the 15% increase in the excise tax, which came into effect in September and has raised the baseline prices of these vehicles. But we're hearing today from NASCO officials how this new, more aggressive, meaner-looking machine will respond to those challenges. Sales Director Roger Moore confirmed the drop in sales, explaining that in August, NASCO sold 40 units of the previous model. In September, they only sold 19. This model is $69,000. Before the excise tax, it would have been $6,000 less. But Mr. Moore believes that the more attractive Yaris will sell itself despite costing more.
Even with that 15% increase, we still believe that we have a product here that is good enough to regain market share, because we would have lost some market share in the last 2 years or so.
About the new car market itself, there has been some concern that a lot of Barbadians are opting for reconditioned models brought in from overseas.
We really are not that focused on that right now. We are trying to focus on the brands that we have, and we just had a new model RAV4 that came out at the beginning of this year, and that has been doing very, very well.
The 2014 Yaris officially unveils on Friday in NASCO's showrooms. Pre-orders for the car have also been good. Of the first shipment of 17, 15 already have owners. Shane Seeley for the Business Report.
And now for a look at how the stocks traded on the regional exchanges today. We continue now with the series Growing the Barbadian Economy, the Value of the Foreign Exchange Earning Sectors. The focus is on the importance of the social partnership.
A novel and bold coming together of government, labor and the private sector in Barbados has been credited with saving this country's economy before. Today, that same social partnership is being challenged to work its magic again. That's the general feeling one gets when in discussion with the major decision makers of this country, still fighting to cast off the shackles of a recession which has also thrown other world economies into a tailspin. I'm Shane Seeley, and this week we're looking at the role of the social partnership of Barbados in growing the foreign exchange earning sectors. We first hear from the president of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, Cedric Murrow.
The CITUS arose back in 1995 as a formal institution out of the issues that arose in 91, 92 when Barbados went into a structural adjustment program with the IMF. What CTUSAP has been able to do is to bring the collective voice of the trade unions and, importantly, the staff associations in this country who are not to be left out to the national dialogue table in a way that says, look, we are part of the problem because we all as individuals are part of the problem, and we are also part of the solution.
Since the birth of the umbrella body just under 2 decades ago, the social partnership has attracted much regional and international attention. A clear example of its effectiveness was recognized by the Caribbean Leadership Project, an integrated renewable community of adaptive regional public sector leaders. Now, a recent publication highlighted the effectiveness of Barbados' tripartite arrangement, and I quote, "In examining the Barbados Social Partnership, it becomes even more apparent that effective leadership as characterized by trust, openness, accountability, transparency, and the sharing of information among the partners in society is critical in creating the requisite paradigm shift to mitigate the adverse economic and social challenges we face in the region." End of quote. The seminal work achieved has also been copied by no less a country than the Bahamas, while several small open economies within the region and beyond have relied on the Barbados experience to guide them through very trying labor issues. So it's against this background that the historian and former trade unionist Robert Bobby Morris is challenging the tripartite body to be a major player in transitioning the Barbados economy. And he goes even further, suggesting that it helps to provide the appropriate framework and leadership for sustainable development.
And that comes not from individuals, but from things like the social partnership. That you'll be able to sit down and say to the government, look, we don't like your spending patterns here, something is wrong, it's carrying us where we shouldn't be going. And we'll be able to say to the private sector, but you're not doing well enough in terms of earning the foreign exchange, etc. And that we are able, as a trade union movement, that we are training people to be able to go and sit down there and challenge government or the private sector and say, from the factors that we're seeing, from the statistics, we're concerned that you're going back to where you were in the 1990s or the 1980s. All of the trends that we're seeing here are unfortunate trends. Do what you have to do to reverse it.
Continuing on that same page, the CTUSAP president informs that his organization is already in the forefront of fleshing out a new strategy for resource development.
The issue that has arisen with tuition fees at UE certainly is one that opens the door for us not only to focus on that, but to say, how do we spend our dollars and what are we training our workforce for? In order to do that, we have to have a national strategy that says these are the areas that we think that we need our human resource development such that we can produce what it is that we want to sell to the world. That is important.
But how can the renewed goals of productivity and growing foreign exchange be achieved through this tripartite agreement? Already, the social partnership promotes collective and democratic decision-making in the national interest. And then there's the recent fiscal adjustment package to correct the slippage in foreign reserves, which was discussed extensively with the partners such as the private sector. They're represented here by Lalu Vashwani, the president of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
What we need now more than ever is how to subsume that personal interest for the collective good so that we can all come out of this thing together. And what the social partnership needs to and can do and ought to do is to see how it can be that focal point for the nation to look to make sure that we are putting emphasis on those areas that will lead to us getting through the crisis.
Clearly, if one is to judge from the successes of the past, then the coming together of the major players at the national level can only redound to the benefit of Barbados. I'm Shane Seeley with a special look at growing the Barbadian economy, the value of the foreign exchange earning sectors. Please join us next week for another program in our current series. Also, visit our website at www.centralbank.org.bb or follow us on Facebook for additional information.